Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I hope you're all doing well. Hello, Carl. Thank you very much for the opening. Hello, Necromancer. Hello, bonjour. Good to see you. Fern, if you are on YouTube, wonderful to have you with us. Thank you for joining tonight. So normally on Sunday evenings, I read the Odyssey with a group called the Reading Renegades. Unfortunately, last week I had a scheduling conflict, and this week, because I was a little bit too delayed on getting a good schedule to my friends over there, we have missed this week as well. Hopefully we can catch next week. But in the meanwhile, I am going to try and get us back to where we were. May Mortem, hello, welcome in. Thank you for the hi. Bonjour, good to see you. Jump scare, I don't know what you're talking about. But it's lovely to have you here, and if we have a moderator in the chat, can we get a shout out to May Mortem, please? Failing that, I will take care of that myself in a moment. For those not already familiar with May Mortem, she is a streamer who is kind of just getting her start from what I can tell. She is working on that first 100 followers, so definitely go check her out if you're at least in the 18 plus category. I last saw her doing some Warhammer 40k stuff, which she was very passionate about and which I still haven't gotten a chance to review. So I will pop back to you at some point here, but it's lovely to have you here with us. Let's get you shouted out properly. And then along with the idea of people who are here and are not normally, we are actually going to be joined by a friend of the channel and a student of Hellenic Classics, Hellenic Pagan, Magnus Nukter. My apologies. I have butchered your name far more than I ever meant to, but yes. Hello and welcome in, Magnus.
Hello.
So Magnus is particularly knowledgeable when it comes to the Odyssey, as well as, several other topics related to not only their focus of study, but their faith. And so I wanted to make sure that if we got a chance, we could actually share some information and context about the culture of the Odyssey. Necromancer's a simple man. Owl Mom says follow, you follow. Oh, thank you, Necromancer. I promise not to tell you to walk off a cliff without a very good and healthy reason, though. Let's get switched over so you can actually see us here. So yeah, in our top there we have Magnus. And I'm just down here where I usually am. And of course we've got the cool factor going in the background. But yeah, so like I said, the main thing I'm going to be going through with this, I did make some mild tweaks to the version that is available on the internet, translated by Mr. Butler. This translation in its original form had the Roman names for the deities and Odysseus. And as far as I can tell, nobody else. So to make that a little less jarring and, cognitively dissonant, I've tried to normalize the names back to their Greek forms. Although, if I've translated something wrong, hopefully Magnus can set me right on that. And please do speak up if you see something and it's like, hey, Celine, your edits might have actually made this not okay.
Yeah, I will. The context for why Ulysses and the gods are the only ones who have different names. For some reason, out of the Greek heroes, Odysseus is one of the only heroes that got its own Latinized name. None of the others really did, so that's why it's only Odysseus and the gods who are.
Oh, wow. That makes a lot of sense. Fern says it reminds him of Mario. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit, Fern? I'm not certain how Mario relates here, but that sounds kind of cool to knock back in. May Mortem says, I mentioned Greek mythology. You fool! Autistic Screech? Oh dear, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to leave you screeching there. Well, as someone who actually read the Odyssey, you wonder how accurate Nolan's adaptation will be? I'm not sure. Who is Nolan?
Christopher Nolan, I'm assuming. I think they were making a new Odyssey-based movie.
Oh, right. I think I'd seen that. Oh, the song Cool Factory reminds you of Mario. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know, Fern. Yeah, the chiptunes here from Zane Little are ones that I've been using for my stream for quite a while now. I don't know if I actually shout out Zane Little very often. But, yeah, no, Little has quite a few different chiptunes that are released under permissive licensing, so it makes it really nice for using in video games as well as for background music on our stream as we get started up. Carl had a funny realization years ago that Disney used the Roman name for Heracles. You know, yeah, that's also something interesting. I hear Hercules used quite often in English parlance. I very rarely hear Heracles, which would be the Greek name, correct?
Yeah, Heracles is the Greek name. If I remember correct, it's because his mom gave him that name to try to convince Hera not to discriminate against him because she knew that his father was Zeus, and usually she created hell for any of Zeus's mortal kids. So Heracles was given to him as like, hey, please don't kill him, Hera. He's named after you.
And Hera's response was, well, I won't kill him. I'll just kill his family multiple times.
I just found a shed cat whisker on my desk.
Oh, nice. Is that like finding an eyelash? You get a wish if you blow it off your fingertip? I don't know.
I don't know. I just touched my desk and I pulled it up and there was a whisker there and I was like, wait, what?
Fair enough. Alright, well, let's go ahead and switch the music over and we will start with the body of our presentation for tonight. Using a chiptune for Greek myth reading is equivalent to using Mozart for a gangster movie. I don't hate this idea, Carl. But, perhaps no, we won't chiptune this particular one. Is the fifth child? Don't kill him! No! Yeah, no, we don't want Heracles to die. I mean, he eventually did anyway, but still. Yeah. Alright, so, switching back to the topic at hand. The Odyssey, by Homer, rendered in English prose for the use of those who cannot read the original, by S. Butler, some modifications by Celine Heidelin. Book 1, The Gods in Council, Athena's Visit to Ithaca, The Challenge from Telemachus to the Suitors. Tell me, O Muse, of that ingenious hero who traveled far and wide after he had sacked the famous town of Troy. Many cities did he visit, and many were the nations with whose manners and customs he was acquainted. Moreover, he suffered much by sea while trying to save his own life and bring his men safely home. But do what he might, he could not save his men, for they perished through their own sheer folly in eating the cattle of the sun god Hyperion. Hyperion, shoot, that would be an incorrect name, wouldn't it?
That should be Helios.
Helios. Okay, cool. So we'll have to correct Helios later here. So the god prevented them from ever reaching home. Tell me, too, about all these things, O daughter of Zeus, from whatsoever source you may know them. So now all who escaped death in battle or by shipwreck had got safely home, except Odysseus, and he, though he was longing to return to his wife and country, was detained by the goddess Calypso, who had got him into a very large cave and wanted to marry him. But as years went by, there came a time when the gods settled that he should go back to Ithaca. Even then, however, when he was among his own people, his troubles were not yet over. Nevertheless, all the gods had now begun to pity him, except Poseidon, who still persecuted him without ceasing and would not let him get home. Now Poseidon had gone off to the Ethiopians, who are at the world's end and lie in two halves, the one looking west and the other east. He had gone there to accept a hecatomb of sheep and oxen, and was enjoying himself at his festival. But the other gods met in the house of Olympian Zeus, and the sire of gods and men spoke first. At that moment he was thinking of Aegisthus, who had been killed by Agamemnon's son Orestes. So he said to the other gods, and I'm going to take just a moment here. Am I saying this correctly? Aegisthus?
That's how you pronounce it closely in English, or I guess this would also probably work.
Okay.
I'd have to look up the actual ancient Greek letters to know how it'd be pronounced in ancient Greek. I'm assuming you're going for English pronunciations, though.
Ideally, yes. I speak far more English than I do ancient Greek.
But
hasn't he suffered enough? No. Poseidon, apparently.
Hecatomb, though, is actually 100 sheep and oxen. Hecatomb means 100 or 100-fold.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
So they got 200 cattle just sitting there by the ocean, completely unaware of where they're headed.
Let me double check. I'm pretty sure hecatomb was 100. Heca means 100.
Got it. So it's a hecking lot anyway.
Yeah, 100.
And, of course, we've got Fern over here talking about the wedding cake as Calypso's, trying to convince Odysseus to marry her. Alright. Yeah. So this is Zeus who's talking now, right?
Yes.
See now how men lay blame upon us gods for what is after all nothing but their own folly. Look at Aegisthus. He must needs make love to Agamemnon's wife unrighteously and then kill Agamemnon, though he knew it would be the death of him. For I sent Hermes to warn him not to do either of these things, inasmuch as Orestes would make sure to take his revenge when he grew up and wanted to return home. Hermes told this all good will, but he would not listen, and now he has paid for everything in full.
Then Athena said, Father, son of Cronos, great king, it served Aegisthus right, and so it would anyone else who does as he did. But Aegisthus is neither here nor there. It is for Odysseus that my heart bleeds. When I think of his suffering in that lonely sea-girt island, far away, poor man, from all his friends. It is an island covered with forest in the very middle of the sea, and a goddess lives there, daughter of the magician Atlas, who looks after the bottom of the ocean and carries the great columns that keep heaven and earth asunder. This daughter of Atlas had got hold of poor, unhappy Odysseus, and keeps trying by every kind of blandishment to make him forget his home, so that he is tired of life and thinks of nothing but how he may once more see the smoke of his own chimneys. You, sir, take no heed of this, yet when Odysseus was before Troy, did he not propitiate you with many burnt sacrifices? Why, then, should you keep on being angry with him? And Zeus said,
My child, what are you talking about? How can I forget Odysseus, than whom there was no more capable man on earth, nor more liberal in his offerings to the immortal gods that live in heaven? Bear in mind, however, that Poseidon is still furious with Odysseus for having blinded the sole eye of Polyphemus, king of the Cyclopes. Polyphemus is son to Poseidon by the nymph Thoosa, daughter of the sea king Phorcys. Therefore, he will not kill Odysseus outright. He torments him by preventing his return home. Still, let us lay our heads together and see how we can help him to return. Poseidon will then be pacified, for if we are all of like mind, he can hardly stand out against us.
And then Athena said, Father, son of Kronos, great king, if then the gods now mean that Odysseus should get home, we should first send Hermes to Ogygia to tell Calypso that we have made up our minds that he is to return. In the meantime, I will go to Ithaca to put heart into Odysseus' son Telemachus. I will embolden him to call the Achaeans in assembly and speak out to the suitors of his mother Penelope, who persist in eating up any number of his sheep and oxen. I will also conduct him to Sparta and to Pylos to see if he can hear anything about the return of his dear father, for this will make people speak well of him. So, am I, saying all of that right? Is there anything that jumps out to you as being like, Celine, no, that's not how that's said?
No. A lot of that is just, Ogygia. Some of this stuff is kind of hard to pronounce, even in English.
Okay, so it's Ogygia.
I'm wondering what the Greek for Ogygia is, because, for context, there was no G in ancient Greek. No. Was that? Which one was it? No, it was J. I'm thinking of J.
Alright.
Because there is gamma, which does mean G. Was it pronounced the same?
Fair enough. Okay, Rode is saying that Hercules is the Latin name and Heracles is the Greek name. Yep, very much, Rode. Also, hello, Rode. Welcome in. If I don't have any mods in chat, I will have to shout him out as well. Rode is my artist, a fantastic gentleman, someone who does quite a bit of outreach and support, particularly for folks who have disabilities and for folks who are in the LGBTQIA2 Spirit Plus community. Am I hitting all the letters on that right? Plus the number? Any rate, it's really good to have you here with us, Rode. Let's get you shouted out. When you see my avatar or a lot of the artwork that we put on this channel, it is specifically Rode Dusk who is behind it. So let's get you shouted out here, Rode. Hello, welcome in, and thank you so much for joining us. There was no Y letter in ancient Greek as well as Latin. Typically, I was used to represent the Y sounds in digraphs.
Yeah, they had, it's called the upsilon, which isn't pronounced like Y as we do in English and Latin, derived languages. Rather, they had the upsilon, which is more like in the French U, as in Luna.
Okay. So upsilon.
You probably know how to pronounce that properly in British than I do.
Fair. Tyrone B Films, hello, welcome in. Feel free to DM me the thing. And how goes the reading? I would say it's going fairly well. I'm joined by Magnus Nukter here, who is...
Yeah, and it was J that didn't exist. It's,
J, got it.
Yeah, I was used in place of J in a lot of Latin readings because in Latin, it makes it does make the Y sound. So when you have say IU, in as it would have been in Jupiter, which is how you pronounce it in Latin, that is how they got that sound, was an I instead of a J. But then later, after I can't remember which period it was, they ended up developing a J symbol. It became a later addition to the Roman alphabet.
Got it. Okay. And we've got Fern over here saying, no G. Well, okay, odds. Alright, fair point, Fern. Heck. And yeah, of course, shout out for you, Rode. You do a great job, and I really would like to support you. Your art is absolutely fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of you, and I know a heckin' lot of words. But yeah, let's...
Well, to go into lecture mode, I can talk about Homer and how epics are formatted to help with memorization.
Kind of tempting, but I don't think it's going to fit with a lot of what we've got here, where because we have the words kind of laid out in a way that I don't have to remember them, they can instead be structured toward helping people who don't necessarily have that familiarity with Greek. to understand. But I like the idea. Oh, this is tempting. I tell you what, I'm going to read a little bit more from the source material, and we can put up a poll here, so that if we want to hear the lecture, we can do that.
Yeah, because it would be giving a background to the Odyssey and as well as the Iliad. Because some of the stuff we know is we don't know who Homer was. We don't know what gender Homer was. We know virtually nothing. And Homer might not have even been one person. It might have been a group of people, potentially spanning multiple decades. So
Okay.
it's one of those things because this was from so long ago. There's a lot that we don't know, and there's certain things that they use in the Odyssey, which as you're reading you can spot that are a leftover from the oral tradition that the Odyssey comes from, because this was before there was really books existed. They didn't have necessarily a written word, or during a period when the ancient Greek method of writing disappeared. So all this used to be memorized, and bards and stuff poets would memorize it and then perform it in like symposiums and other public events.
Makes sense. So we'll see how the poll turns out here. If you are on mobile, you might have to hop out of your keyboard in order to follow or to see the poll. And we also have a question from Tyrone B. Films, favorite song from Epic the Musical. So I'm going to continue reading here for a little bit. Magnus, when I get to the next break, go ahead and tell us your favorite if you're not already thinking about it, and I'll answer at that time too. So saying, she bound on her glittering golden sandals imperishable, with which she can fly like wind over land or sea. She grasped the redoubtable bronze-shod spear, so stout and sturdy and strong, wherewith she quells the ranks of heroes who have displeased her, and down she darted from the topmost summits of Olympus, whereon forthwith she was in Ithaca, at the gateway of Odysseus's house, disguised as a visitor, Mentes, chief of the Taphians, and she held a bronze spear in her hand. There she found the lordly suitors seated on hides of the oxen which they had killed and eaten, and playing checkers in front of the house. Servants and pages were bustling about to wait upon them, some mixing wine with water in the mixing bowls, some cleaning down the tables with wet sponges and laying them out again, and some cutting up great quantities of meat. Telemachus saw her long before anyone else did. He was sitting moodily among the suitors, thinking about his brave father, and how he would send them flying out of the house if he were to come on his own again, and to be honored as in days gone by. Thus brooding, he sat amongst them. He caught sight of Athena, and went straight to the gate, for he was vexed that a stranger should be kept waiting for admittance. He took her right hand in his own, and bade her to give him her spear. "Welcome to our house, and when you have partaken of food, you shall tell us what you have come for." He led the way as he spoke, and Athena followed him. When they were within, he took her spear and set it in the spear stand against a strong bearing post, along with many other spears of his unhappy father, and he conducted her to a richly decorated seat, under which he threw a cloth of damask. There was a footstool also for her feet, and he set another seat near her for himself, away from the suitors, that she might not be annoyed while eating by their noise and insolence, and that he might ask her more freely about his father. A maidservant then brought them water in a beautiful golden ewer, and poured it into a silver basin for them to wash their hands, and she drew a clean table beside them. An upper servant brought them bread, and offered them many good things of what there was in the house, and the carver fetched them plates of all manner of meats, and set up cups of gold by their side, and a servant brought them wine and poured it out for them. Then the suitors came in, and took their places on the benches and seats. Forthwith servants poured water over their hands, maids went round with the bread baskets, pages filled the mixing bowls and wine and water, and they laid their hands upon the good things that were before them. As soon as they had had enough to eat and drink, They wanted music and dancing, which are the crowning embellishments of a banquet. So a servant brought a lyre to Phemius, who they compelled to sing for them. As soon as he touched his lyre and began to sing, Telemachus spoke low to Athena, with his head close to hers, that no man might hear. I hope, sir, that you will not be offended with what I am going to say. Singing comes cheap to those who do not pay for it, and all this is done at the cost of one whose bones lie rotting in some wilderness or grinding to powder in the surf. If these men were to see my father come back to Ithaca, they would pray for longer legs rather than a longer purse, for money would not serve them. But he, alas, has fallen on an ill fate, and even when people do sometimes say that he is coming, we no longer heed them. We shall never, ever see him again. And now, sir, tell me, and tell me true, who are you, and where do you come from? Tell me of your town and parents, what manner of ship you came in, how your crew brought you to Ithaca, and of what nation they declared themselves to be, for you cannot have come by land. Tell me also truly, for I want to know, are you a stranger to this house, or have you been here in my father's time? In the old days we had many visitors, for my father went about much himself. Oh no. Oh no, we mostly had people redeeming points for our poll, and I don't know which actually won. Oh, heck. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Jesus take the wheel? What are you talking about, Fern? Road would have spammed yes all the more. Oh no. Where do you come from? Where do you go? Where do you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Well, heck, Carl. If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Alright. So since Rode is saying that he would have spammed it, we'll go ahead and go with yes. If you'd like to share some of your lecture with us, please, Magnus. And how did you get here? I got here on a boat, of course. I got here by being here, and that was all that really came of it. But yeah, Magnus, are you still with us? Sorry.
I was muted because I wanted to double check what the name of some things were.
No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
But in terms of my favorite song from Epic the Musical, would have to probably be Monster, but I haven't listened to the most recent releases he's made. I haven't listened past, I can't remember what the last one was I listened to.
Interesting. Okay, so we need to sit down and go through Epic the Musical sometime. Because this is it. I really enjoyed the musical. It's good stuff. There's a few pieces in the Ithaca saga that I skip over, but other than that, like,
Yeah.
it just it's so much yes. And I can understand Monster as a choice there for favorite song. And it's such a hard one for me in terms of like what is my absolute favorite song. I mean, the one that I've probably sang the most would be the Warrior of the Mind, but the one that is just so far my all-time favorite, probably Get in the Water. It was the first one that I was introduced to, and just Poseidon's whole thing with it.
I've been waiting for this moment, for the perfect time to strike. When you're home so close and you've reached your coast, that's when our paths collide. It's just, yes! This is a man who is going to menace, and he's going to have so much fun with his menacing. Like, it ticks so many boxes for me, even if it is one of the shorter ones. Epic is one of the easier visual novels to stream being fully voiced. I am not sure what you mean, Carl.
But yeah, okay, so
This is a visual novel.
Tyrone, if you're still here with us, those are our answers. We have Monster from Magnus Nukter and Get in the Water. A swing teachers be like. You're not wrong, Fern. I definitely was swinging with that song. Oh dear. Oh yeah. Get in the water.
Get in the water, or I'll raise the tide so high, all of Ithaca will die. Get in the water.
Yep, there we go. Goodness sake. So yes, please, Magnus, tell us about the storytelling elements that we would be expected to still see carrying over here. Because I know memorization is such a difficult thing. I can't imagine it was that much easier back in the olden days. So what were they doing with the epic format to help with people remembering these things?
There's a lot of different techniques that they believe was practiced in the Iliad and the Odyssey. Obviously, like there are people who have their literal PhDs in these topics, so like it can get so nitpicky sometimes. Like this has been studied extensively. But a little bit of background on Homer is this was all from ancient Greece, which was the Odyssey the 700s BC. I'd have to double check. I'm really, really bad with numbers. I have a disability, so I can't remember them.
Understandable. I won't hold you
But
to it. If it turns out to be the 600s BC, I won't tell anybody. You're fine.
yeah, the times of ancient Greek during think I think the Odyssey we believe first came probably during one of the Archaic periods. Um, so it is one of the oldest texts we know from ancient Greece. But Homer, as a person, we know literally nothing about. We don't know who wrote the Odyssey. It was attributed to Homer, but Homer may have been a group of bards. It may have been a single person who was just an absolute genius. It may have also been multiple poets over time, because you can see in each book differences in how it's formatted a bit. And we don't know if that's because it was written by someone else or if it's because it's been changed from its original. Because what we have is just what's written down. Because this was completely passed on orally with nothing written down until much later. But much later periods, it started getting written down and became like one of the most consistent things in Greek cultures. It is definitely was deeply enmeshed in the culture itself. Just something that's really cool about it. But you can see like there's certain phrases that are used time and time again in it. One thing is certain people will be referred to with certain, not their names, but titles. So like fleet-footed Achilles, or another one I know you see at the very beginning of the Odyssey is Man of Pain, which is refers to Odysseus because his name means has to do with pain. He's part of his name actually translates directly to Man of Pain, roughly.
Oh, okay.
Which is why he's referred to as the Man of Many Sorrows, the Man of Pain, and stuff like that repeatedly through this. You'll also see like Gray-Eyed Athena, or like there's certain phrases that are specifically used because they're typical in epic poetry, and it can be used as part of that memorization techniques. But the thing I really want to talk about is what's called ring composition, which is how it's formatted more overall. So the thing that introduces, and some of this is taken from Cambridge University Press. They have some stuff on it. I pulled up the definition to figure out what it's called, but it's called ring composition. And but it's basically, you have story element A. Let's say you have story element A, story element B, and story element C. Then towards the end, those will be reversed. So the thing that introduces the concept is used.
As a conclusion as well as an introduction.
Yep.
And then the
Yep.
inciting or escalating incident also becomes the de-escalation, with the
Yep.
activity of the story happening in kind of the middle there. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and that's used throughout the Odyssey a lot. And the part we're on right now is actually oftentimes referred to as Telemachia because it centers around Telemachus and not Odysseus.
Gotcha.
It's kind of Telemachus's coming of age kind of thing. He's grown up, he's gonna go try to find his father, and then he's gonna come back kind of a man to a degree. So this is
Okay.
Telemachus's own little bit of the story in this sense, and then later we start seeing Odysseus' part of the story, which is his homecoming.
Okay. And then Telemachus's story is influenced by the presence of Odysseus later in the story. So that's why we start out and then come back to him. Oh, that's fun. I like it.
Yeah, and like
We've also got some comments here. So Carl clarified on the visual novel that most popular stories nowadays are just a retelling of the Odyssey. Is that something that you've personally noticed or observed? I don't think about the Odyssey all that much.
it's extremely common. Like there's references to the Odyssey and everything. There's some very obvious ones, like I think it's called Brother, Where Art Thou? That is a direct like retelling of the Odyssey in a different format. But you see references to the Odyssey and in a lot of media. It's one of the most common, probably referenced works out of any, especially more referenced than the Iliad. But I still say the Iliad is boring as hell. I did not like the Iliad. I'm a classic student, and I hate the Iliad.
Okay, so I'm not the only one who, having read the Iliad, is like, wow, they needed something other than just who's stabbing who today and some grumping about who stabbed who yesterday.
Yeah, and my biggest gripe with the Iliad is all the lists. Because they like to list everything people brought, and it just ends up turning into entire chapters of just what each king brought to war. And I'm just like, I could have went my entire life without knowing this and been probably better off.
Oh,
Though,
let's do that.
historically
yeah.
speaking, it's extremely important because that does give us clues into things or perceptions of things back then. But in terms of the story, that's not what you want to hear.
It's the show don't tell of classical antiquity. Oh, love
Except
it.
they were telling, not showing.
Fern didn't know about the Odyssey until recently. Yeah, I know, dear. We did you a disservice. We have not taught you enough about the Odyssey, unfortunately. Carl says SpongeBob's first movie is just a retelling of the Odyssey. Interesting. And Necromancer likes the short phrase gray-eyed Athena because of how much it tells you about her. I always enjoyed the epithet bright-eyed Athena. I don't know if that's one that is correctly translated or not, but like that one just always spoke to me on a level. I don't know why. I don't know, what's one of your favorite? Demonym, I think is what it's called, when they demonstrate something about a character by naming them that way.
That's what it's called. I was just trying to think. Gray-eyed Athena. I'm trying to remember exactly what the word is, but it's probably gray-eyed is better, a more accurate translation. Because if I remember right, the word they actually use references a color.
Okay. Well, as
but
somebody with
gray-eyed
gray
would definitely be
eyes,
another
I'll allow it. Alright, I'm going to continue on here, but yeah, definitely, if there's different things that you would like to talk about with names, or we can come back to the ring storytelling in a little bit here. Oh, Fern also approves of the
I
music.
just remembered the name. Something else that's fun about Telemachus is his name, actually. Because in ancient Greece, it was very common for names to be derived from other words, so they have like meaning.
Okay.
So Telemachus, tele meaning from afar, and then Machus, think it means, I want to say it translates to worker from afar, but I've also seen fighter from afar or like battle from afar.
Okay.
So
somebody
his
who
name
travels
literally
quite a bit.
means. No, it's in reference to actually his father, Odysseus.
Oh.
Because if you look at the story, and this is part of how they sometimes name characters based on what they do in the story, but during this, realistically, Telemachus is Odysseus' will from afar. He's the one managing the house and is trying to protect his mom, and he's going out to try to fix things, basically. So it's kind of referencing his role in the story towards Odysseus. Which Odysseus actually never wanted to go to war. There's another story about him that he actually tried to pretend to be insane to not get sent to war because Telemachus had just been born at the beginning of the war. He wanted to stay home with his son. And so he pretended to be plowing I think it was the sands on the beach, thinking it was farmland.
Tell you what.
And how he got
look
caught
up the details
is someone put his son
Magnus,
and stopped him.
Magnus, why don't you look up the actual story here while I read this next bit, and you can come back in and explain what the heck Odysseus was doing when we get back. Will that be okay?
I know what he was doing. He was trying to plow the shoreline, which is sand. You can't plow it.
All right, cool. And so Athena answered Telemachus, I will tell you truly and particularly about it. I am Mentes, son of Anchialus, and I am the king of Taphians. I have come here with my ship and crew on a voyage of men of a foreign tongue, being bound for Temesa with a cargo of iron, and I shall bring back copper. As for my ship, it lies over yonder off the open country, away from the town, in the harbour Rithorn, under the wooded mountain Neritum. Our fathers were friends before us, and old Laertes will tell you if you will go and ask him. They say, however, that he never comes to town now, and lives by himself in the country, faring hardly with an old woman to look after him and get his dinner for him when he comes in tired from pottering about his vineyard. They told me your father was home again, and that was why I came, but it seems the gods are still keeping him back, for he is not dead yet, not on the mainland. It is more likely he is on some sea-girt island in mid-ocean, or a prisoner among savages who are detaining him against his will. I am no prophet, and know very little about omens, but I speak as it is borne in upon me from heaven, and assure you that he will not be away much longer, for he is a man of such resource that even though he were in chains of iron, he would find some means of getting home again. But tell me, and tell me true, can Odysseus really have such a fine-looking fellow for a son? You are indeed wonderfully like him about the head and eyes, for we were close friends before he set sail for Troy, where the flower of all Argives went also. Since that time we have never either of us seen the other. My mother, answered Telemachus, tells me I am son to Odysseus, but it is a wise child that knows his own father. Would that I were son to one who had grown up old upon his own estates. For since you ask me, there is no more ill-starred fate under heaven than he who they tell me is my father. Hello, Naruto. Welcome in. Thank you for stopping by long enough to say hi. I'm really glad to see you, even if only briefly. And Athena said, There is no fear of your race dying out yet, while Penelope has such a fine son as you are. But tell me, and tell me true, what is the meaning of all this feasting, and who are these people? What is it all about? Have you some banquet, or is there a wedding in the family? For no one seems to be bringing any provisions of his own. And the guests, how atrociously they are behaving, what riot they make of the whole house. It is enough to disgust any respectable person who comes near them. Sir, as regards your question, so long as my father was here, it was well with us and with the house. But the gods in their displeasure have willed it otherwise, and have hidden him away more closely than mortal man was ever yet hidden. I could have borne it better, even though he were dead, if he had fallen with his men before Troy, or had died with his friends around him when the days of his fighting were done. for then the Achaeans would have built a mound over his ashes, and I should have myself been heir to his renown. But now the storm winds have spirited him away we know not whither. He is gone without leaving so much as a trace behind him, and I inherit nothing but dismay. Nor does the matter end simply with grief for the loss of my father. Heaven has laid sorrows upon me of yet another kind, for the chiefs from all our islands, Dulichium, same, the woodland island of Zakynthus, and also all the principal men of Ithaca itself are eating up my house under the pretext of paying the court of my mother, who will neither point-blank say that she will not marry, nor yet bring matters to an end. So they are making havoc of my estate, and before long will do so also with myself. Hello, Legal. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Hydrate. Oh, heck, I'm gonna have to go grab a drink. Alright, so I will be right back. Legal, yes, yay, story time. And yeah, Magnus, are you okay with, talking a little bit about something, while I go grab some water here?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will be right back and leave you in Magnus's capable hands.
Only question is what to talk about. But what I was talking about earlier, yeah, Odysseus didn't want to leave to go to war. He really wanted to stay home, so he tried to pretend to be insane by plowing a field that can't be plowed, the sands. And one of his servants, who kind of caught on, like, he's not insane, he's just trying to pretend to get out of this, put his son Telemachus in front of him, and the idea was if he continued plowing and killed his own child, then that would mean he's not insane, and if he was actually insane, he'd end up killing his own child. So that is how they disproved the idea of him being insane. Literally, that he recognized his own child was there and didn't just plow him.
It is always better when somebody doesn't plow their child under the sand.
Yeah, exactly. But
it also means that he wasn't nearly as crazy as he was pretending to be, doesn't it?
Yep.
It.
And Penelope is also just as crafty as Odysseus is. You are going to see that really soon, because I believe in the upcoming lines you will see where it talks about her tricking the suitors to get them to basically lay off of her for a while, because she is making a memorial shroud for her father-in-law, Laertes, and by day she is seen weaving it, but at night she would go and unweave everything she'd done so that it would never get finished, basically. And they eventually caught on.
Oh, yeah, that's... Oh, Fern over here. Daddy, what are you doing? Don't plow me under the sand, no! Oh, love it. Yes, I did get some more water. Hydration complete, by the way. Magnus is adorable. Pass it on? Well, okay, I can pass that on, Legal. Hey, Magnus, you're adorable. Oh no,
I wasn't
Fern, don't
expecting
be
that
down.
tone.
Necromancer wants to hear about how cool Athena is. Was that something that you got to get into, or is that, do we need to just continue on with the story to find out?
What about how cool Athena is? Which part?
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Necromancer was asking to hear about how cool Athena is, so I'm going to let Necromancer answer that while we continue forward. Is that so? Then you do indeed want Odysseus home again. Give him his helmet, shield, and a couple of lances, and if he is the man he was when I first knew him in our house, drinking and making merry, he would soon lay his hands about these rascally suitors, were he to stand once more upon his own threshold. He was then coming from Etheria, where he had been to beg poison for his arrows from Ilus, son of Murmerus. Ilus feared the ever-living gods and would not give him any, but my father let him have some, for he was very fond of him. If Odysseus is the man he was then, these suitors will have a short shrift and a sorry wedding. But there, it rests with heaven to determine whether he is to return and take his revenge in his own house or no. I would, however, urge you to set about trying to get rid of these suitors at once. Take my advice and call the Achaean heroes in assembly tomorrow morning. Lay your case before them and call heaven to bear your witness. Bid the suitors take themselves off, each to his own place, and if your mother's mind is set on marrying again, let her go back to her father, who will find her a husband and provide her with all the marriage gifts that so dear a daughter may expect. As for yourself, let me prevail upon you to take the best ship you can get, with a crew of 20 men, and go in quest of your father who has been so long missing. Someone may tell you something, or, and people often hear things in this way, some heaven-sent messenger may direct you. Oh, Fern, you are headed off to bed? Alright, get some good sleep, bud. Thank you for joining us, even if only briefly. It's always lovely to see you. Oh, Necromancer was just trying to give you something to talk about while I was away. Sorry about that. First, go to Pylos and ask Nestor. Thence, go on to Sparta and visit Menelaus. Menelaus?
Usually say it Menelaus.
Menelaus? Okay. For he got home last of all the Achaeans. If you hear that your father is alive and on his way home, you can put up with waste these suitors will make for yet another 12 months. If, on the other hand, you hear of his death, come home at once, celebrate his funeral rites with all due pomp, build a barrow to his memory, and make your mother marry again. Then, having done all this, think it well over in your mind how, by fair means or foul, you may kill these suitors in your own house. You are too old to plead infancy any longer. Have you not heard how people are singing Orestes' praise for having killed his father's murderer just... Have you not heard how people are singing Orestes' praise for having killed his father's murderer, Aegisthus? You are a fine, smart-looking fellow. Show your mettle, then, and make yourself a name in story. Now, however, I must go back to my ship and to my crew, who will be impatient if I keep them waiting longer. Think the matter over for yourself, and remember what I have said to you. Magnus is adorable, pass it on? Alright, we can pass that on, Rogue. Thank you. Sir, answered Telemachus, it has been very kind of you to talk to me in this way, as though I were your own son, and I will do all you tell me. I know you want to be getting on with your voyage, but stay a little longer till you have taken a bath and refreshed yourself. I will then give you a present, and you shall go on your way rejoicing. I will give you one of great beauty and value, keepsake such as only dear friends give to one another. Athena answered, Do not try to keep me, for I would be on my way at once. As for any present you may be disposed to make me, keep it till I come again, and I will take it home with me. You shall give me a very good one, and I will give you one of no less value in return. You love storytelling.
It's actually a really important concept in ancient Greece. The idea of giving someone a gift who's visiting you. A lot of this interactions you see of Telemachus with others displays a lot of the ideals of ancient Greece, and one big thing was hospitality towards friends as well as strangers. So the suitors who are taking all of Odysseus' things, basically spending his money and his resources, or his house's money and resources, is a massive violation of these ideas, which is kind of why you see them Odysseus getting revenge against them towards the end, because they betrayed the idea of hospitality and basically took advantage of the house. But you also see displayed like what good hospitality looks like, which would be this concept of when you make sure that your guest has everything they need to leave, you give them presents, and then when you visit them eventually in the future, or like your kids do, then they will do the same for them. And a lot of this is because the weather there was really finicky, so you kind of never knew if someone would have the resources to make it to where they need to, if they got sidewalled or something. So it was also a matter of survival. you wanted to make sure your friends survived and had everything they needed to survive the travel home kind of thing.
Sure. Well, and that's, especially in a time when you can't just, go to the store and pick up a 6-pack of spears. Um, it makes a huge difference in a person's ability to even get things like food and drink, if hospitality isn't this very deeply ingrained thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I've always really kind of respected, and in many ways try to emulate. And I know the Scandinavians have that same concept as well.
Yep.
That if somebody comes, especially around Christmas time, and you don't provide them with at least some food and some shelter before they're on their way, they tend to take the spirit of the season with them.
It was very common in several pagan cultures that I know of. Because I know the Nordic culture also had a similar thing. And but actually there's something else that I was going to mention that is, I see on the screen right now of your stream. The other reason is because, like, say, if a beggar came to your house and you treated them ill, it was believed that could be a god. That could have been a god testing you. So you better be nice to everyone and at least be hospitable, or else you might get your comeuppance later.
Love it.
Because you see the line, he felt the change, wondered at it, and knew the stranger had been a god.
With these
So it
words.
was the idea of the gods disguising themselves as mortals to trick people was also a thing.
Love it.
Make sure you're following the laws, or else the gods are gonna come, trick you into disobeying them, and then fight you for it.
It becomes a personal offense at that point. Legal's got to go to bed but wants to watch stream. Legal, you can always leave us on in the background. I am more than happy to have people sleeping to our story times. They are meant to be something that everyone can enjoy, whether they're able to fully pay attention or not. But either way, thank you so much for being here, Legal. It's a real delight to see you, and I hope you've had as much joy today as you've been spreading to everybody. You do a fantastic job, Little Bear, and I'm happy to have you with us. With these words,
I should probably get going too.
Oh, okay. No worries.
I have a dentist appointment tomorrow.
Well, let's get you shouted out before you hop off here. So, for those who are not already familiar with Magnus, can you post something in the chat? It is not auto-completing your name, and I can't just dash about the internet like I normally do when I'm moderating for people. Perfect, thank you. So, for those not already familiar with Magnus, who the handle on here is Nebulous Noctis VT, just an absolutely fantastic gentleman. Go spend time with them. They are adorable, they are fun, and they know a heckin' lot about some very cool subjects. So, go give them a little bit of love, spend some time with them, and yeah. Thank you once again for joining us. It was really good to have you.
If you ever want to do, like, after reading the Odyssey, if you ever want to have a stream with me where I talk about some of the particulars that you're only going to see after finishing it, I'd be down for that, or just a mythology night in general.
We'll have to make something happen in the future. Really appreciate you being here. You have a good night, okay?
You as well.
Thank you. I shall. Alright, so for the rest of this we are probably just going to do more or less a straight reading rather than have the periodic interruptions, but that's alright. I'm sure it'll be fun all the same. And big thank you to Magnus Nukter for joining us here tonight. Catch them like a Pokemon? I don't know if a Pokeball works on Magnus Nukter. You'd have to ask them. With these words, she flew away like a bird into the air, but she had given Telemachus courage and made him think more than ever about his father. He felt the change, wondered at it, and knew that the stranger had been a god, so he went straight to where the suitors were sitting. Phemius was still singing, and his hearers sat wrapped in silence as he told the sad tale of the return from Troy and the ills Athena had laid upon the Achaeans. Penelope, daughter of Icarius, heard his song from her room upstairs and came down by the great staircase, not alone, but attended by her 2 handmaids. When she reached the suitors, she stood by one of the bearing posts that supported the roof of the cloisters, with a jade maiden on either side of her. She held a veil, moreover, before her face, and was weeping bitterly. "Phemius," she cried, "you know many another feat of gods and heroes, such as poets love to celebrate. Sing the suitors of one of these, and let them drink their wine in silence, but cease this sad tale, for it breaks my sorrowful heart, and reminds me of my lost husband, whom I mourn ever without ceasing, and whose name was great over all Hellas and middle Argos." "Mother, let the bard sing what he has a mind to. Bards do not make the ills they sing of. It is Zeus, not they, who makes them, and who sends weal or woe upon mankind according to his own good pleasure. This fellow means no harm by singing the ill-fated return of the Danaans, for people always applaud the latest songs most warmly. Make up your mind to it and bear it. Odysseus is not the only man who never came back from Troy, but many another went down as well as he. Go, then, within the house and busy yourself with your daily duties, your loom, your distaff, and the ordering of your servants, for speech is man's matter and mine above all others, for it is I who am master here." She went wandering back into the house, and laid her son's saying in her heart. Then going upstairs with her handmaids into her room, she mourned her dear husband till Athena shed sweet sleep over her eyes. But the suitors were clamorous throughout the covered cloisters, and prayed each one that he might share her bedfellow. Then Telemachus spoke. "Shameless and insolent suitors, let us feast at our pleasure now, and let there be no brawling, for it is a rare thing to hear a man with such a divine voice as Phemius has. But in the morning meet me in full assembly, that I may give you formal notice to depart, and feast at one another's houses, turn and turn about at your own cost. If on the other hand you choose to persist in sponging upon one man, heaven help me, but Zeus shall reckon with you in full. When you fall in my father's house, there shall be no man to avenge you." The suitors bit their lips as they heard him, and marveled at the boldness of his speech. Then Antonius, son of Eupeithes, said, "The gods seem to have given you lessons in bluster and tall-talking. May Zeus never grant you to be chief in Ithaca as your father was before you." Telemachus answered, "Antonius, do not chide with me, but God willing, I will be the chief too if I can. Is this the worst fate you can think of for me? It is no bad thing to be a chief, for it brings both riches and honor. Still, now that Odysseus is dead, there are many great men in Ithaca, both young and old. Some other may take the lead among them. Nevertheless, I will be chief in my own house, and will rule those whom Odysseus has won for me." Then Eurymachus, son of Polybus, answered, "It rests with heaven to decide who shall be chief among us, but you shall be master in your own house and over your own possessions. No one while there is a man in Ithaca shall do you violence nor rob you. And now, my good fellow, I want to know about this stranger. What country does he come from? Well, what family is he, and where is his estate? Has he brought you news about the return of your father, or was he on business of his own? He seemed a well-to-do man, but he hurried off so suddenly that he was gone in a moment before we could get to know him. My father is dead and gone, and even if some rumor reaches me, I put no faith in it now. My mother does indeed sometimes send for a soothsayer and question him, but I give his prophesyings no heed. As for the stranger, he was Mentis, son of Anchialus, chief of the Taphians, an old friend of my father's." But in his heart he knew that it had been the goddess. The suitors then returned to their singing and dancing until the evening, but when night fell upon their pleasuring, they went home to bed, each to his own abode. Telemachus's room was high up in a tower that looked on to the outer court. Hither then he hied, brooding and full of thought. A good old woman, Euryclea, daughter of Ops, the son of Pisanor, went before him with a couple of blazing torches. Laertes, who had brought her with his own money when she was quite young, he gave the worth of 20 oxen for her and showed as much respect to her in his household as he did to his own wedded wife, but he did not take her to bed, for he feared his wife's resentment. She it was who now lighted Telemachus to his room, and she loved him better than any of the other women in the house did, for she had nursed him when he was a baby. He opened the door of his bedroom and sat down upon the bed. As he took off his shirt, he gave it to the old woman, who folded it tidily up and hung it up for him over a peg by his bedside, after which she went out, pulled the door by a silver catch, and drew the bolts home by means of the strap. But Telemachus, as he lay covered with a woolen fleece, kept thinking all night through of his intended voyage and the counsel that Athena had given him. And with that, we come to Book 2. Assembly of the people of Ithaca. Speeches of Telemachus and of the suitors. Telemachus makes his preparations for and starts for Pylos, with Athena disguised as mentor. Oh. Ah! Lost my place. Oh no! Oh, we'll get back there. It was Book 2, and I had just finished reading the title. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Now when the child of morning, rosy-fingered dawn, appeared, Telemachus rose and dressed himself. He bound his sandals on to his comely feet, girded his sword about his shoulder, and left his room looking like an immortal god. He at once sent the criers round to call the people in assembly, so they called them, and the people gathered thereon. Then, when they were got together, he went to the place of assembly, spear in hand, not alone, for his 2 hounds went with him. Athena endowed him with a presence of such divine comeliness that all marveled at him as he went by, and when he took his place in his father's seat, even the oldest counselors made way for him. Aegyptius, a man bent double with age and of infinite experience, was the first to speak. His son Antiphus had gone with Odysseus to Ilios, land of the noble steeds, but the savage Cyclops had killed him when they were all shut up in the cave and had cooked his last dinner for him. He had 3 sons left, of whom 2 still worked on their father's land, while the third, Eurynomus, was one of the suitors. Nevertheless, their father could not get over the loss of Antiphus, and was still weeping for him when he began his speech.
Men of Ithaca, hear my words. From the day Odysseus left us, there has been no meeting of our counselors until now. Who then can it be, whether young or old, that finds it so necessary to convene us? Has he got wind of some host approaching, and does he wish to warn us? Or would he speak about some other matter of public moment? I am sure he is an excellent person, and I hope Zeus will grant him his heart's desire.
Telemachus took this speech as a good omen and rose at once, for he was bursting with what he had to say. He stood in the middle of the assembly, and the good herald Pisanor brought him his staff. Then, turning to Aegyptus, "Sir, it is I, as you will shortly learn, who have convened you, for it is I who am the most aggrieved. I have not got wind of any host approaching about which I would warn you, nor is there any matter of public moment on which I would speak. My grievance is purely personal and turns on 2 great misfortunes which have fallen upon my house. The first of these is the loss of my excellent father, who was chief among all you here present, and was like a father to every one of you. The second is much more serious, and ere long will be the ruin of my estate. The sons of all the chief men among you are pestering my mother to marry them against her will. They are afraid to go to her father Icarius, asking him to choose the one he likes the best and to provide marriage gifts to his daughter. But day by day they keep hanging about my father's house, sacrificing our oxen, sheep, and fat goats for their banquets, and never giving so much as a thought to the quantity of wine they drink. No estate can stand such recklessness. We have now no Odysseus to ward off harm from our doors, and I cannot hold my own against them. I shall never in all my days be as good a man as he was. Still, I would indeed defend myself if I had the power to do so, for I cannot stand such treatment any longer. My house is being disgraced and ruined. Have respect, therefore, to your own consciences and to public opinion. Fear, too, the wrath of heaven, lest the gods should be displeased and turn upon you. I pray you by Zeus and Themis, who is in the beginning and end of councils, do not hold back, my friends, and leave me single-handed. Unless it be that my brave father Odysseus did some wrong to the Achaeans, which you would now avenge on me by aiding and abetting these suitors. Moreover, if I am to be eaten out of house and home at all, I'd rather you did the eating yourselves, for I could then take action against you to some purpose and serve you with notices for my house till I got paid in full, whereas now I have no remedy. Also, something Carl realizes watching short YouTube documentaries, many founding members were one child of the 5 to 10. I am not sure I understand what you're saying there, Carl. If you want to try rephrasing that, maybe I'll get a better grasp. But, I am curious what you're talking about there. With this, Telemachus dashed his staff to the ground and burst into tears. Everyone here was very sorry for him, but they all sat still and no one ventured to make an angry answer, save only Antinous, who spoke thus.
Telemachus, insolent braggart that thou art, how dare you try to throw the blame upon us suitors? It is your mother's fault, not ours, for she is a very artful woman. This 3 years past, and close on 4, she's been driving us out of our minds, encouraging each one of us and sending a message without meaning one word of what she says. And then there was that other trick she played us. She set up a great tambour frame in her room and began to work on an enormous piece of fine needlework.
Sweethearts, said she, Odysseus is indeed dead. Still do not press me to marry again immediately. Wait, for I would not have skill in needlework perish unrecorded, till I have completed a pall for the hero Laertes, to be in readiness against the time when death shall take him. He is very rich, and the women of the place will talk if he is laid out without a pall.
Stop telling me how hot my mom is.
Telemachus, probably. You're not wrong, Necromancer. Carl heard three sons line. Oh, you're talking about the birth rate myth that's been going around in conservative circles. Okay, now I think I follow where you're going with that. So to give a little bit of context, there is this myth about people not having enough children, and therefore one group of people or another is going to die out. This myth is most commonly promulgated by people who have I don't necessarily know how to describe this in a non-antagonistic manner. So I am going to... Do I want to rein in my speech here? Oh boy. Yeah, it's a myth promulgated by people who are of a mindset that predisposes them to acts of genocide. I think that's about as neutral as it's going to get. It's an absolutely bonkers idea. And I know some people have been trying to treat it as, oh, we need to have enough babies born to replace the population. If you look at the human population overall, the birth rates are about steady. And it's being used right now as a way to try and cajole people into having kids that they're not ready for, or to say that this or that person should be allowed to have more kids than they can reasonably sustain. It's nonsense. It's terrible. So this is a thing that exists, but it is not something that I want to spend much more brain power on because it is so ridiculously nonsense. And I can't imagine giving it more time of day than we already have. So you've done nothing wrong here, Carl. It's always nice to know what kinds of things you're, encountering as you go through the world. But if I don't talk further about the topic, it's because I find the topic not only one not worth addressing, but one which, if we try to address it in detail, will take time away from enjoyable things. Because of just the sheer volume of talk that there is on the subject.
This was what she said, and we assented, whereon we could see her working on her great web all day long, but at night she would unpick the stitches again by torchlight. She fooled us in this way for 3 years, and we were never found her out. But as time wore on, and she was now in her 4th year, one of her maids who knew what she was doing told us, and we caught her in the act of undoing her work, so she had to finish it whether she would or no. The suitors, therefore, make you this answer, that both you and the Achaeans may understand. Send your mother away, and bid her marry the man of her own and her father's choice. For I do not know what will happen if she goes on plaguing us much longer with the airs she gives herself on the score of the accomplishments Athena has taught her, and because she is so clever. We never yet heard of such a woman. We know all about Tiro, Alcmea, Mycenae, and the famous women of old. They were nothing to your mother and any one of them. It was not fair of her to treat us in that way, and as long as she continues in the mind with which heaven has now endowed her, so long shall we go on eating up your estate, and I do not see why she should change, for she gets all the honor and glory, and it is you who pay for it, not she. Understand, then, we will not go back to our lands, neither here nor elsewhere, till she has made her choice and married some one of us or another.
For future reference, you don't even watch local news, so you wouldn't find that stuff? Well, Carl, you've probably stumbled upon it. But that happens. There are bad actors everywhere. And so, I apologize if that was a bit fiery of me. It was not intended to be directed at you by any way, shape, or form. So, I always appreciate getting to hear what you're talking about. And that's why I would address it properly when someone like you brings it up, Carl, because I know you don't mean any harm, and you're not looking to make things, unpleasant. You're just sharing. And I think that's really good of you. I'm proud of you.
Telemachus answered, Antonius, how can I drive the mother who bore me from my father's house? My father is abroad, and we do not know whether he's alive or dead. It will be hard on me if I have to pay Icarius the large sum which I must give him if I insist on sending his daughter back to him. Not only will he deal rigorously with me, but heaven will also punish me, for my mother, when she leaves the house, will be on the Erinyes to avenge her. Besides, it would not be a creditable thing to do, and I will have nothing to say to it. If you choose to take offense at this, leave the house and feast elsewhere at one another's houses or at your own cost and turn about. If on the other hand you elect to persist in sponging upon one man, heaven help me, but Zeus shall reckon with you in full when you fall in my father's house. There shall be no man to avenge you.
As he spoke, Zeus sent 2 eagles from the top of the mountain, and they flew on and on with the wind, sailing side by side in their own lordly flight. When they were right over the middle of the assembly, they wheeled and circled about, beating the air with their wings and glaring death into the eyes of them that were below. Then, fighting fiercely and tearing at one another, they flew off toward the right over the town. The people wondered as they saw them and asked each other what all this might be, whereupon Halitherses, who was the best prophet and reader of omens among them, spoke to them plainly and in all honesty, saying,
Hear me, men of Ithaca. I speak more plainly to the suitors, for I see mischief brewing for them. Odysseus is not going to be away much longer. Indeed, he is close at hand to deal out death and destruction, not on them alone, but on many another of us who live in Ithaca. Let us then be wise in time and put a stop to this wickedness before he comes. Let the suitors do so of their own accord. 'Twill be better for them, for I am not prophesying without due knowledge. Everything that has happened to Odysseus as I foretold when the Argives set out for Troy, and he with them. I said that after going through much hardship and losing all his men, he should come home again, and is in the 20th year, and no one would know him. And now all this is coming true.
Eurymachus, son of Polybus, said,
Go home, old man, and prophesy to your own children, or it may be worse for them. I can read these omens myself much better than you can. Birds are always flying around in the sunshine somewhere or other, but they seldom mean anything. Odysseus has died in a far country, and it is a pity you are not dead along with him, instead of prating here about omens and adding fuel to the anger of Telemachus, which is fierce enough as it is. I suppose you think he will give you something for your family, but I tell you, and it shall surely be, when an old man like you, who should know better, talks a young one over till he becomes troublesome, in this first place, his young friend will only fare so much worse. You will take nothing by it, for the suitors will prevent this. In the next, we will lay a heavier fine, sir, upon yourself, than you will at all like paying, for it will bear hardly upon you. As for Telemachus, I warn him in the presence of you all to send his mother back to her father, who will find her a husband and provide for her with all the marriage gifts so dear a daughter may expect. Till then, we shall go on harassing him with our suit, for we fear no man, and can neither for him, with all his fine speeches, nor any fortune-telling of yours. You may preach as much as you please, but we shall only hate you the more. We shall go back and continue to eat up Telemachus's estate without paying him till such time as his mother leaves off tormenting us by keeping us day after day on the tiptoe of expectation, each vying with the other his suit for a prize of such rare perfection. Besides, we cannot go after the other women whom we would marry in due course, but for the way in which she treats us. I'm gonna try that last line again. Besides, we cannot go after the other women whom we should marry in due course, but for the way she treats us. So they're holding off on actually dating people who are attainable on the, well, but what if she actually does choose me, you know? Oh my goodness. Then Telemachus said, Eurymachus and you other suitors, I shall say no more, and entreat you no further, for the gods and the people of Ithaca now know my story. Give me then a ship and a crew of 20 men to take me hither and thither, and I will go to Sparta and to Pylos in quest of my father, who has been so long missing. Someone may tell me something, or, and people often hear things in this way, some heaven-sent message may direct me. If I can hear if him is alive and on his way home, I will put him up with the waste of your suitors and make you yet another 12 months. If on the other hand I hear of his death, I will return at once, celebrate his funeral rites with all due pomp, build a barrow to his memory, and make my mother marry again. With these words, he sat down, and Mentor, who had been a friend of Odysseus and had been left in charge of everything with full authority over the servants, rose to speak. He then plainly and in all honesty addressed them thus. Hear me, men of Ithaca. I hope that you may never have a kind and well-disposed ruler any more, nor one who will govern you equitably. I hope that all your chiefs henceforth may be cruel and unjust, for there is not one of you but has forgotten Odysseus, who ruled you as though he were your father. I am not half so angry with the suitors, for if they choose to do violence the naughtiness of their hearts and wager their heads upon that Odysseus will not return, they can take the high hand and eat up his estate. But as for you others, I am shocked at the way in which you all sit without even trying to stop such scandalous goings-on. which you could do if you chose, for you are many, and they are few.
Leocritus, son of Evanor, answered them, saying,
Mentor, what folly is all this, that you should set the people to stay us? It is a hard thing for one man to fight with many about his victuals. Even though Odysseus himself were set upon us while we are feasting at his house, and do his best to oust us, his wife, who wants him back so very badly, would have small cause for rejoicing, and his blood would be upon his own head if he fought against such odds. There's no sense in what you've been saying. Now therefore, you people go about your business, and let his father's old friends, Mentor and Halitherses, speed this boy on his journey, if he goes at all, which I do not think he will, for he is more likely to stay where he is till someone comes and tells him something.
On this he broke up the assembly, and every man went back to his own abode, while the suitors returned to the house of Odysseus. Then Telemachus went all alone by the seaside, washed his hands in the grey waves, and prayed to Athena.
Hear me, God who visited me yesterday and bade me sail the seas in search of my father who has so long been missing. I would obey you, but the Achaeans, and more particularly the wicked suitors, are hindering me that I cannot do so.
As he thus prayed, Athena came close up to him in the likeness of and with the voice of Mentor.
Telemachus, if you are made of the same stuff as your father, you will neither fool nor coward henceforward, for Odysseus never broke his word, nor left his work half done. If then you take after him, your voyage will not be fruitless, but unless you have the blood of Odysseus and of Penelope in your veins, I see no likelihood of you succeeding. Sons are seldom as good men as their fathers. They're generally worse, not better. Still, as you are not going to be either fool or coward henceforward, and you are not entirely without some share of your father's wise discernment, I look with hope upon your undertaking. But mind you never make common cause with any of those foolish suitors, for they have neither sense nor virtue, and give no thought to death and to the doom that will shortly fall on one and all of them, so that they perish on the same day. As for your voyage, it shall be not long delayed. Your father was such an old friend of mine. I will find you a ship, and I will come with you myself. Now, however, return home and go about among the suitors, begin getting provisions ready for your voyage. See everything well stowed in wine jars, and barley meal, which is the staff of life, in leathern bags, while I go around the town and beat up volunteers at once. There are many ships in Ithaca, both old and new. I will run my eye over them for you, and will choose the best. We will get her ready, and we will put out to sea without delay.
Notaic, hello, welcome in, and thank you for the beats. It's good to have you here, dearie. Thus spoke Athena, daughter of Zeus, and Telemachus lost no time in doing as the goddess told him. He went moodily home and found the suitors flaying goats and singeing pigs in the outer court. Antinous came up to him at once and laughed as he took his hand in his own, saying,
Telemachus, my fine fire eater, bear no more ill blood, neither in deed nor in word, but eat and drink with us as you used to. The Achaeans will find you in everything, a ship and a picked crew to boot, so you can set sail for Pylos at once and get news of your noble father.
I'm doing quite well, thank you, Notaic, although we are running out of time for our stream here tonight.
Antinous, answered Telemachus, I cannot eat in peace nor take pleasure of any kind with such men as you are. Was it not enough that you should waste so much good property of mine when I was yet a boy? Now that I am older and know more about it, I am also stronger, and whether here among this people or by going to Pylos, I will do you all the harm I can. I shall go, and my going will not be in vain. Though thanks to you suitors, I have neither ship nor crew of my own, and must be passenger, not captain.
As he spoke, he snatched his hand from that of Antinous. Meanwhile the others went on, getting dinner ready about the buildings, jeering at him tauntingly as they did so.
Telemachus, said one youngster, means to be the death of us. I suppose he thinks he can bring friends to help him from Pylos,
or again from Sparta where he seems bent on going? Or will he go to Ephyria as well for poison to put in our wine and kill us? Another said, Perhaps if Telemachus goes on board ship, he will be like his father and perish far from his friends. In this case, we should have plenty to do. We could then divide up his property amongst us. As for the house, we can let his mother and the man who marries her have that. This was how they talked. But Telemachus went down into the lofty and spacious storeroom, where his father's treasure of gold and bronze lay heaped upon the floor, and where the linen and spare clothes were kept in open chests. Here, too, there was a store of fragrant olive oil, while casks of old, well-ripened wine, unblended and fit for a god to drink, were ranged against the wall in case Odysseus should come home again after all. The room was closed, with well-made doors opening in the middle. Moreover, the faithful old housekeeper, Euryclea, daughter of Ops, the son of Pisanor, was in charge of everything, both night and day. Telemachus called her to the storeroom and said, Nurse, draw me some off of the best wine you have, after what you are keeping for my father's own drinking, in case, poor man, he should escape death and find his way home again after all. Let me have 12 jars, and see that they all have lids. Also fill me some well-sewn leathern bags and barley meal, about 20 measures in all. Get these things put together at once and say nothing about it. I will take everything away this evening as soon as my mother has gone upstairs for the night. I am going to Sparta and to Pylos to see if I can hear anything about the return of my dear father. When Euryclea heard this, she began to cry and spoke fondly to him, saying, My dear child, whatever we can have put such notion into your head? Where in the world do you want to go to, you who are the one hope of this house? Your poor father is dead and gone in some foreign country nobody knows where, and as soon as your back is turned, these wicked ones here will be scheming to get you put out of the way, and will share in all your possessions among themselves. Stay where you are among your own people, and do not go wandering and worrying your life out on the barren ocean. Fear not, nurse. My scheme is not without heaven's sanction. But swear that you will say nothing about all this to my mother till I have been away some 10 or 12 days, unless she hears of my having gone and asks you, for I do not want her to spoil her beauty by crying. The old woman swore most solemnly that she would not, and when she had completed her oath, she began drawing off the wine into jars and setting the barley meal into bags, while Telemachus went back to the suitors. Hey, lie to my mom for 2 weeks, okay? Unless she, directly asks you about it. Yeah, pretty much, Necromancer. Then Athena bethought her of another matter. She took his shape and went round the town to each one of the crew, telling him to meet at the ship by sundown. She also went on to Noemon, son of Phronius, and asked him to let her have a ship, which he was very ready to do. When the sun had set and darkness was over all the land, she got the ship into the water, put all the tackle on board that ships generally carry, and stationed her at the end of the harbor. Presently the crew came up, and the goddess spoke encouragingly to each of them. Furthermore, she went to the house of Odysseus and threw the suitors into a deep slumber. She caused their drinks to fuddle them, and made them drop their cups from their hands, so that instead of sitting over their wine, they went back into the town to sleep with their eyes heavy and full of drowsiness. Then she took the form and voice of Mentor, and called Telemachus to come outside.
Telemachus, the men are on board and at their oars, waiting for you to give your orders, so make haste and let us be off.
On this she led the way, while Telemachus followed in her steps. When they got to the ship, they found the crew waiting by the waterside, and Telemachus said, Now, my men, help me to get the stores on board. They are all put together in the cloister, and my mother does not know anything about it, nor any of the maidservants except one. With these words, he led the way, and the others followed after. When they had brought the things as he told them, Telemachus went on board, Athena going before him and taking her seat in the stern of the vessel, while Telemachus sat beside her. Then the men loosed the hawsers and took their places on the benches. Athena sent them a fair wind from the west that whistled over the deep blue waves, whereon Telemachus told them to catch hold of the ropes and hoist sail, and they did as he told them. They set the mast in its socket and the cross-plank, raised it, and made it fast with the forestays. Then they hoisted their white sails aloft with ropes of twisted oxhide. As the sail bellied out with the wind, the ship flew along the deep blue water, and the foam hissed again against her brow as she sped onward. Then they all made fast throughout the ship, fixing bowls to the brim, and made drink offerings to the immortal gods that are from everlasting, but more particularly to the grey-eyed daughter of Zeus. Thus then, the ship sped on her way through the watches of the night, from dark until dawn. If you were a Greek god, you'd just hang out at important events with popcorn for fun. How would you know which ones to hang out at, Necromancer? Alright, I think I am running out of time here, so it's gonna be time to pick a raid target. You'd make them important? You know what? That is fair. After all, you're a deity in this context, right? So, along with that, let's see who we've got available. Well, it does look like there are at least a few reading folks on. That's always nice. In fact, some of them look like they haven't been up long at all. You know what? We will raid out to somebody who I'm not already familiar with. So, with that, let's go ahead and do our outro song. I'm glad you've joined our stream today. Stream here and the stream here. But it's time to go our separate ways. Yes, it's time to end the stream here. Stream here ends the stream here. Oh, stream here ends the stream here. For the software scuffed and the bit rate's low, and it's time to end the stream here. Until next time, I'll be waiting.